The news broke suddenly, flashing across every screen on Earth. It was a declaration, and it came from the stars. The Sci-Farians, a race of aliens never before seen by humanity, declared war on Earth. Their message was short, simple, and cold. Humanity is a threat to the galaxy. You will be eliminated. The world went silent for a moment. For the first time in history, the Earth faced an enemy that was not from this planet. The Sci-Farians claimed to have technology far beyond anything humanity had ever known. Their ships were massive, their weapons powerful enough to destroy entire cities with a single blast. Governments around the world went into a state of panic. The United Nations called an emergency meeting. Military forces across the globe were placed on high alert. Nations that once fought over petty issues now stood united, their eyes fixed on the unknown threat in the sky. Yet there was no time to waste. The Sci-Farians had given no warning, no reason, just a cold message and an immediate declaration of war. Earth had been thrown into chaos. Panic spread like wildfire, with people wondering what would happen next. How could they fight back against an alien force so powerful? In the United States, President Emily Jordan stood in front of the cameras, her face a mixture of determination and fear. "We are not afraid," she said, her voice steady. "We will fight for our survival. Humanity has faced impossible odds before, and we will do it again." Across the globe, military leaders scrambled to form a plan. Human armies, though brave and capable, were outmatched by the advanced alien technology. The Sci-Farians' fleet was already on its way, and Earth had only days, maybe hours, to prepare. In a small military base in Nevada, a young strategist named Elena Westbrook watched the news unfold. She was only 28, but her mind worked like a well-oiled machine. Her reputation as an unconventional thinker had made her a rising star in the military ranks. She had a unique way of looking at problems, something that made her stand out from her peers. Elena knew that Earth's current defenses were not enough. The Sci-Farians would tear through human forces with ease, but in her mind, a plan was already forming. There had to be a way to fight back. There had to be a way to surprise the Sci-Farians. She wasn't sure what that way was yet, but she knew one thing for sure. Humanity's survival depended on quick thinking and creative solutions. As she watched the chaos unfold on her screen, Elena promised herself she would do whatever it took to help Earth win this war. The clock was ticking, and time was running out. The tension was unbearable. The world had never seen a moment like this. The Sci-Farians had declared war, and no one knew how to stop them. Earth's military forces, though united, were no match for the alien fleet. As nations scrambled to form a defense, they realized one thing. They needed a new approach, something they hadn't thought of before. In the midst of the panic, Elena Westbrook sat quietly in a small room at a military base in Nevada. Her eyes were fixed on the screens in front of her, watching the same footage that the entire world was seeing. The Sci-Farian fleet, massive, intimidating, and seemingly unstoppable. She could hear the frantic calls from military leaders and government officials through the walls, but she was different. She was thinking. Elena was known for her creative solutions, even if they weren't always the most conventional. When others saw a problem, she saw an opportunity. She had worked in the military for years, but this was different. This wasn't just another battle. It was the fight for humanity's survival. She began to formulate a plan, one that no one had considered. It wasn't about matching the Sci-Farians in firepower. It was about exploiting their weaknesses. Elena knew that the Sci-Farians had advanced technology, but no one knew their limits. It was that uncertainty that gave humanity a chance. As Elena sketched out ideas and made notes, she was joined by a group of military engineers and analysts. They trusted her mind, and she trusted theirs. Together, they began discussing the possibility of using Earth's limited resources in ways that Sci-Farians would never expect. "We can't beat them in a straight fight," Elena said, her voice steady. "But we can surprise them. The Sci-Farians expect us to follow their rules. Big guns, fast ships, heavy bombs. What if we didn't play by their rules? The engineers exchanged looks. One of them, a young officer named Captain Mark Owens, spoke up. "You mean we use their own technology against them?" Elena nodded, her mind racing. "Exactly. The Xipherians rely on energy-based weapons. But what if we could disrupt that energy? What if we could cause a breakdown in their systems, even if just for a short time?" The room fell silent as everyone considered the idea. The thought of using the Xipherians' own technology against them was a risky one, but it was also humanity's best shot. If they could cause even a small malfunction in the alien fleet, it might be enough to turn the tide. The Xipherians would never expect such a counterattack. It wasn't about having more weapons. It was about being smarter. For hours, the team worked in a frenzy. Elena's plan was risky, but it was their only chance. With every second that passed, the Xipherian fleet was getting closer. Time was running out, and Earth's survival depended on the success of their plan. Elena looked at her team, all focused and determined. She could see the fear in their eyes, but there was something else: hope. For the first time since the Xipherians' declaration of war, Elena believed they had a chance. As the days passed, Elena's plan began to take shape. She and her team worked tirelessly, developing the technology that might just be the key to saving humanity. But there was still one question that lingered in the back of her mind. What did the Xipherians really want? They had declared war, but there had been no clear explanation. Why had they chosen humanity as their target? Elena was determined to find out. She knew that understanding the enemy was just as important as fighting them. And so, late one night, after everyone else had gone to bed, she sat alone in her office, poring over every piece of information about the Xipherians she could find. She started with their history. The Xipherians were an ancient species, older than humanity by thousands of years. They had conquered many worlds, leaving destruction in their wake. But there was something about their history that didn't add up. Why had they chosen now to attack Earth? And why did they see humanity as a threat? Hours of research led Elena to an unsettling discovery. The Xipherians had once faced a great extinction event, one that nearly wiped them out. After that, they became obsessed with survival, obsessed with eliminating anything they saw as a potential threat. Their militaristic culture had been built around this belief. The Xipherians feared that any species with the potential for rapid advancement, like humanity, might one day challenge their dominance in the galaxy. But there was more. Elena uncovered a secret about the Xipherians' true motivations. In their eyes, humanity wasn't just a threat. They were a test. The Xipherians had studied Earth's history, its people, and its culture. They knew humanity had faced countless challenges and overcome them. And now, the Xipherians wanted to see if humanity could survive the greatest challenge of all: war with a superior alien force. Elena's heart sank as the truth became clear. The Xipherians weren't just trying to destroy humanity. They were testing them. And in a twisted way, this might be their way of offering an opportunity for Earth to join their galactic empire. If humanity passed the test, they might be accepted into the fold. If they failed, extinction. The realization was both horrifying and empowering. Humanity was being pushed to its limits, not just to survive, but to prove that they belonged in the galaxy. It was no longer about simply defending Earth. It was about proving humanity's worth. As the sun began to rise, Elena stood up, determination in her eyes. She now understood the Xipherians better than anyone. And she knew that the key to winning this war wasn't just in the technology they were developing. It was in showing the Xipherians that humanity could think, adapt, and survive in ways they never expected. The battle was far from over. But now, Elena had a new purpose: to prove to the Xipherians that humanity was more than just a species to conquer. They were a force to be reckoned with. The day the Xipherian fleet arrived was a day unlike any other. Earth's skies, which had once been clear and peaceful, were now filled with massive alien ships that blocked out the sun. The world held its breath, unsure of what was to come. The Xipherians were here, and the time for talking had ended. Elena stood at the command center, watching the screens as the alien ships hovered above Earth. They were enormous, their sleek, dark shapes unlike anything human technology had ever seen. Earth's defense forces, scattered around the globe, scrambled to prepare for an inevitable attack. Despite their best efforts, humanity was still vastly outmatched. "Elena, are you sure about this?" Captain Mark Owens asked, his voice filled with worry as he glanced over at her. "Our forces are nowhere near ready. We've barely scratched the surface with the new technology. How can we stand up to them?" Elena met his gaze with determination. "We don't need to beat them with force, Mark. We need to outsmart them. We'll use their arrogance against them." Mark didn't look convinced, but he didn't argue. Elena's plan was risky, but it was their best chance. She had spent days researching the Sci-Fians, looking for any weaknesses they could exploit. Now, all they could do was act and hope their strategy would work. The Sci-Fians didn't waste any time. Their ships began to fire, unleashing powerful energy beams that struck Earth's defense systems. The shockwaves rattled the ground, and cities shook as the first wave of destruction hit. It was clear that humanity's military couldn't stand up to their power. But Elena's team was ready. The experimental EMP device they had been working on was their secret weapon. As soon as the Sci-Fians launched their attack, Elena gave the order. "Activate the EMP," she said, her voice calm despite the chaos around her. The device hummed to life, sending a pulse of energy toward the Sci-Fian fleet. The alien ships, which had seemed invincible just moments before, suddenly faltered. Their energy beams cut out, and their massive engines sputtered. For a brief moment, the Sci-Fians were completely vulnerable. It was a small victory, but it was enough. The Sci-Fians weren't prepared for humanity to fight back in this way. Their fleet was momentarily paralyzed, and for the first time since the war began, the human forces had a chance. Elena's heart raced as she watched the screens. The Sci-Fians were trying to recover, but the damage had been done. It wasn't enough to defeat them, but it was enough to show them that humanity wasn't just a helpless target. They were capable of more than the Sci-Fians had ever imagined. "We've got their attention now," Elena said, a fierce smile crossing her face. "Let's make sure they know we're not going down without a fight." The battle wasn't over. The Sci-Fians would recover, and more attacks were likely to come. But this first encounter had shown the galaxy something important. Humanity was no longer an insignificant species. They had proven, if only for a moment, that they could stand up to even the greatest threats. The war had only just begun, but Elena knew one thing for sure. Humanity wasn't going to give up without a fight. The victory was brief, but it was enough to shift the mood on Earth. The Sci-Fians had been stunned. They had come expecting an easy conquest, but instead, they had faced a defense they hadn't anticipated. Elena's strategy had worked, and for the first time since the war began, humanity felt a spark of hope. But that hope quickly turned to uncertainty when the Sci-Fians made an unexpected move. The Sci-Fians sent a message to Earth's leaders, a request for a meeting. The terms were clear. They'd wanted to negotiate. It was a surprise to everyone. After launching such a brutal attack, why would the Sci-Fians now seek peace? Was it a trick? A way to lower humanity's guard before launching a second assault? Elena was called into the meeting. She was the strategist who had caused the Sci-Fians to falter, and now she would represent humanity in the negotiations. The weight of the moment was not lost on her. This meeting could change everything. It could either end the war or make things much worse. As Elena sat at the negotiating table, she couldn't shake the feeling that the Sci-Fians were studying her, testing her in the same way they had tested humanity. They were calm, composed, their alien eyes fixed on her with an intensity that made her uneasy. The leader of the Sci-Fians, a tall figure with sharp features and silver skin, spoke first. "Commander Westbrook," the Sci-Fian said in a deep voice that echoed in her mind, "we have been watching you. Your kind is resourceful, more than we anticipated. You have caused us to reconsider our plans." Alina held her ground, keeping her voice steady. "What do you want from us?" she asked. The Xipherian leader seemed to consider her words carefully before answering. "Your species has shown potential, but it is not enough to survive in the galaxy. We sought to eliminate you, but now we wonder, could humanity prove its worth to us? Could you become part of our empire and prove that you have the strength to stand with us, not against us?" Alina's mind raced. The Xipherians were offering something that seemed too good to be true. An alliance, perhaps even a place among the stars. But there was a catch. The Xipherians had never made such offers without testing the species they encountered. This was a dangerous game. They are testing us, Alina thought. Testing our strength, our ingenuity, our will to survive. As the conversation continued, Alina found herself questioning everything she had believed about the Xipherians. They weren't just ruthless conquerors. They were calculating, careful, and perhaps even respectful in their own way. The war wasn't about simple destruction. It was a test, one that humanity had already begun to pass. "I will not make a decision for Earth alone," Alina said, her voice firm. "This will take time. We need to discuss your offer with our leaders." The Xipherian leader nodded slowly. "Take all the time you need. We are not in a hurry. But remember, Commander, the choice is yours. We shall see if humanity is worthy of the stars." As Alina left the meeting, her mind swirled with conflicting thoughts. The Xipherians had made their offer, but was it a genuine opportunity or a trap? Earth's future hung in the balance, and the next steps they took could change everything. The days following the meeting with the Xipherians were filled with uncertainty. Earth's leaders were divided. Some saw the Xipherians' offer as a genuine chance for peace and prosperity. Others believed it was a trap, a way to manipulate humanity into submission. No one knew what to believe. Alina, however, couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. The Xipherians had been watching humanity for a long time. They had planned this war carefully. But why? Why had they chosen Earth? And what did they really want? Was there more to this offer than just a chance for peace? One evening, Alina found herself back in the military base, alone in her office. She was going over data, trying to find something, anything, that might explain the Xipherians' true intentions. The strange artifacts they had left behind, the pieces of Xipherian technology recovered from the battlefield. There had to be a clue hidden somewhere. Her eyes locked on a small device sitting on her desk. It was one of the artifacts they had recovered from the Xipherian ship, a small metallic object with strange markings. It had been dismissed as unimportant, just another piece of alien junk. But to Alina, it felt different. It was too carefully made, too precise to be just debris. She picked it up, turning it over in her hands. As she examined it, she noticed something odd. There was a small compartment on the side, almost invisible to the naked eye. Her heart raced as she carefully opened it, revealing a tiny glowing crystal inside. It hummed faintly, pulsing with an energy she had never felt before. Alina's mind immediately went to work. What was this? A weapon? A power source? Or something else entirely? She quickly took the crystal to the lab, where her team of engineers and scientists could analyze it. Hours later, they had an answer that would change everything. The crystal was not just a power source. It was a piece of Xipherian technology designed to manipulate energy on a massive scale. More importantly, it was a key to understanding the Xipherians' greatest weakness. Alina, one of the scientists, Dr. Harris, said with a shocked expression, "This thing, it's a destabilizer. It can cause massive disruption to their energy fields. If we reverse engineer it, we might be able to use it against them. This could be the key to stopping their fleet for good." Alina's heart skipped a beat. The Xipherians had relied on energy-based weapons to crush their enemies, but now humanity had the chance to turn that power against them. It was a gamble, but it was their best chance yet. "I knew there had to be something," Alina muttered to herself. "They never would have left this behind if they didn't think we could figure it out." The discovery was a game changer. If they could adapt the destabilizer to their own technology, they could disable the Xipherian fleet's weapons and defenses, leaving them vulnerable. Alina's mind raced as she thought of the possibilities. The war had taken a new turn. They weren't just trying to survive anymore. They were now in a position to take the fight to the Xipherians. The balance of power had shifted, and humanity was no longer the underdog. With this new technology, Alina had the weapon she needed. But there was still one question left. Would the Xipherians accept defeat, or would they fight until the end? The Xipherians had underestimated humanity, and now Earth's forces had a chance to fight back in a way no one had expected. The discovery of the Xipherian destabilizer had changed everything. Alina and her team had worked day and night to reverse engineer the technology, adapting it to their own systems. The plan was risky, but it was humanity's best hope. Alina sat in the command center, staring at the screens in front of her. The Xipherian fleet was still in orbit, their massive ships hovering above Earth. There was no way to know what the Xipherians would do next. Would they accept humanity's resistance and offer peace, or would they escalate the war, forcing Earth's forces into a final devastating battle? In the meeting rooms nearby, Earth's leaders were debating their next move. Some wanted to use the destabilizer immediately, to strike a blow to the Xipherians and cripple their fleet. Others worried about the consequences. If they used it, and the Xipherians retaliated, Earth could be left in ruins. Alina knew the stakes were higher than ever. If they attacked, they risked provoking the Xipherians into all-out war. But if they hesitated, they might lose the advantage they had gained. She had been in situations like this before, situations where a single decision could change everything. But this time, the weight of her choice felt heavier than ever. A soft chime from her console broke her thoughts. She looked up to see a new message flashing on the screen. It was from the Xipherians. "We wish to speak with you again, Commander Westbrook. Come to us. You have proven your strength, but now we wish to see if your species has the wisdom to choose wisely." The message was calm, almost too calm. Alina could sense the tension behind the words. The Xipherians had seen humanity's ability to fight back, but they were still testing them. This wasn't over yet. They were offering a chance for negotiation, but Alina knew that time was running out. Alina stood and walked toward the conference room where the world leaders were gathered. As she entered, the room fell silent. Everyone turned to her, waiting for her decision. "Commander, what do we do now?" President Emily Jordan asked, her voice tight with uncertainty. "The Xipherians want to talk again, but we've already fought back. They've seen what we can do. Should we risk using the destabilizer?" Alina looked around the room, seeing the fear and the hope in the eyes of the leaders. Earth's fate rested in her hands. "I've learned something about the Xipherians," Alina said, her voice calm but firm. "They are testing us. They want to see if we can make the hard decisions, the ones that might cost us everything. They want to know if we have the strength to act when necessary, but the wisdom to choose peace when we can." Alina paused, letting her words sink in. "We have a choice. We can use the destabilizer, strike them first, and hope for victory. Or we can take this opportunity to show the Xipherians that we are more than just a species to be conquered. We are a species that can choose its own path. I'm willing to take the risk." The room was silent for a long moment. Then, one by one, the leaders nodded. They trusted Alina. They trusted her judgment. "We'll negotiate," Alina said firmly, "but we'll do it on our terms. If they are truly testing us, we'll show them that humanity has the strength to survive and the wisdom to seek peace." The air was thick with tension as Alina prepared to meet the Xipherians once again. The decision had been made. Earth would not strike first. Instead, they would meet the Xipherians on their terms, seeking a peaceful resolution to the conflict that had gripped the planet for days. But even as the decision was made, Alina couldn't help but feel a nagging doubt. Would the Xipherians truly respect humanity's choice for peace, or would they see this as weakness and escalate the war once more? The meeting was set for a location deep within Earth's military headquarters, a secure facility that no Zephyrian had ever entered. Elena and her team stood ready, but there was no certainty in their hearts. The Zephyrians had proven themselves capable of surprising humanity time and time again. Would they surprise them again? When the time came, a Zephyrian delegation arrived, their sleek, dark ships hovering silently in the sky. The door to the meeting room opened, and the Zephyrians stepped inside. The same tall, silver-skinned leader from before was at the front, his expression unreadable. He was flanked by two others, their eyes fixed on Elena as if assessing her every move. Elena stood tall, facing the alien delegation with a calmness that surprised even her. She knew the stakes were high, and this meeting could determine the future of Earth. She wasn't going to let fear control her. Humanity had proven its strength. Now, it was time to prove its wisdom. "We've come to discuss your decision, Commander Westbrook," the Zephyrian leader said, his voice calm and firm. "You chose not to strike, despite having the power to do so. You have surprised us. But now we must ask, what do you expect in return?" Elena took a deep breath. "We expect to be treated as equals, not as enemies. We are a species that has fought for its survival, and now we seek a future where we can coexist with others in the galaxy. We are not a threat. We are a species that has faced adversity and come out stronger. We want peace, but we will not bow to anyone." The Zephyrian leader's eyes studied her, his gaze intense. For a moment, Elena wondered if her words had fallen on deaf ears. Then, something unexpected happened. The Zephyrian leader stepped forward and spoke in a voice that carried a strange weight. "Humanity has done what no other species has done before. You have chosen not to fight when you had the power to do so. You have shown us that you are worthy of the stars." Elena's heart skipped a beat. She had expected a harsh response, but the Zephyrians were not demanding more conflict. Instead, they were acknowledging humanity's strength. The room fell silent as the Zephyrians stood before them, seemingly in awe of humanity's choice. "This is not the outcome we anticipated," the Zephyrian leader continued. "You have passed our test. Humanity has proven its worth. We offer you an alliance, one that will grant you access to the resources and knowledge of our empire. Together, we will build a future unlike anything we could have imagined." Elena couldn't believe it. The Zephyrians were offering peace, not out of weakness, but because they had seen something in humanity that they respected. The test was over, and humanity had passed. "Thank you," Elena said, her voice filled with quiet strength. "We accept your offer. But understand this, we will never surrender our autonomy. We will stand by your side, but we will always be humanity." The Zephyrian leader nodded, a small but significant gesture. The war was over, not with weapons, but with wisdom. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy. As the Zephyrians left the room, Elena felt a wave of relief wash over her. The battle was over, but the true journey had only just begun. Humanity had proven that it could survive, adapt, and choose peace when it mattered most. Now, the future was theirs to shape. The news spread like wildfire across Earth. The war that had seemed inevitable just days ago was over, and humanity had emerged victorious, not through force, but through wisdom and strength of character. The Zephyrians, once determined to destroy Earth, had offered an alliance, acknowledging humanity's ability to choose peace over destruction. It was a victory unlike any Earth had ever seen. But despite the relief, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest part was still ahead. The Zephyrians had tested humanity, and they had passed. But now they had to prove themselves again, not just to the Zephyrians, but to the galaxy. Humanity had earned their place among the stars, but what would that truly mean? In the days that followed the peace agreement, Elena was swarmed with questions from Earth's leaders, military officials, and the media. There were celebrations and ceremonies, speeches, and promises of a bright future. Yet, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. She had always been a strategist, always thinking several steps ahead. And while the peace deal with the Xipherians was a major victory, the future was still uncertain. She sat in her office late one evening, staring at the glowing screen before her. The Xipherians had promised to share their advanced knowledge and technology with humanity, but there was still so much to learn. The alien empire was vast, its reach spanning galaxies, and humanity was just beginning to scratch the surface of what they could offer. Would this newfound alliance lead to prosperity, or would it lead to new challenges humanity had never imagined? Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock at the door. She looked up to see Captain Mark Owen standing in the doorway, his face a mix of concern and curiosity. "Are you all right?" he asked, stepping inside. Elena sighed and leaned back in her chair. "I should be. We've won. But I can't help but wonder, what's next? The Xipherians have offered us everything, but it feels like we're stepping into something much bigger than we're ready for." Mark nodded, understanding her unease. The galaxy is a big place, and we've only just started to understand it. But we're not alone anymore. We've got allies, and that's more than we've ever had. Elena stared at the screen, her thoughts racing. But are we ready for this? Will we be able to handle the responsibilities that come with being part of something so much larger? Mark placed a hand on her shoulder. "One step at a time, Elena. We've always found a way to overcome the odds. And now we've got the chance to prove ourselves on a whole new level. Together." Elena looked at him, grateful for his support. He was right. Humanity had faced impossible odds before and had always come out on top. This was no different. The Xipherians had given them a chance, and now it was up to them to prove they deserved it. The next few months were filled with preparations for the new era. Humanity began to learn from the Xipherians, incorporating their technology and knowledge into their own systems. The Xipherians helped humanity unlock the secrets of space travel, allowing them to explore distant worlds. Earth became a hub of intergalactic diplomacy, a key player in a much larger universe. Yet, despite the newfound peace and opportunities, Elena couldn't forget the lessons of the past. The Xipherians had given humanity a chance, but they hadn't done it out of kindness. They had done it because they saw the potential in humanity to survive, to adapt, and to choose a different path than the one they had once feared. Elena knew that Earth had to continue proving itself, not just to the Xipherians, but to every other species in the galaxy. The war was over, but the true journey had just begun. The peace agreement with the Xipherians had set the stage for humanity's future. After years of tension and fear, Earth was now an important player in the galaxy. The Xipherians had granted Earth access to their knowledge, their technology, and their vast empire. But as Elena watched Earth take its first steps into this new era, she couldn't help but feel a sense of uncertainty. The war was over, but this was just the beginning. Earth had won the right to stand alongside the Xipherians, but there were still so many unknowns. How would humanity handle the responsibility of being part of a larger galactic community? What challenges awaited them in the stars? And most importantly, how would humanity stay true to itself as it grew and adapted to this new world? For the first time, Elena saw Earth not as a small, isolated planet, but as a bright and promising beacon in the vastness of space. The Xipherians had respected humanity's strength, but now it was up to humanity to prove it could thrive in this new, unfamiliar galaxy. One crisp morning, Elena stood on the balcony of her office, gazing out at the sprawling city below. Earth was changing. Skyscrapers were being rebuilt to house more people, new spaceports were being constructed, and there was a sense of optimism in the air. People were no longer living in fear of the Xipherians. They were looking toward the future, toward a future filled with possibilities. But Elena knew that with those possibilities came challenges. As Earth began to forge new relationships with other species, there would be politics, diplomacy, and risks. There would be those who questioned the alliance with the Xipherians, and others who feared the unknown. And there would be new dangers lurking beyond the stars, dangers that humanity couldn't yet understand. Elena was no longer just a military strategist. She was now a leader in a new world, one that was both exhilarating and terrifying. The decisions she made in the coming months would shape humanity's place in the galaxy. Would they remain independent, or would they become part of something much larger? Would they hold on to their identity, or become something else entirely? Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock on the door. Mark entered, his usual confident smile in place. "You're still thinking about the future, aren't you?" he asked, leaning against the doorframe. Elena nodded. "I can't help it. This is all so new. We've been given so much, but with all this opportunity, there's so much responsibility. I just hope we're ready for it." Mark walked over to her, his voice reassuring. "We are ready. We've always been ready. We've faced the impossible, and we've overcome it. This is just another chapter, another chance for humanity to prove who we really are." Elena smiled at him. He was right. Humanity had always been a species that defied the odds, that rose to every challenge. The Sci-Fians had seen that in them, and now it was their turn to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. As the sun set over Earth's skyline, Elena felt a sense of calm wash over her. The war was over. The challenges were far from over, but humanity had made its mark. The new beginning had started, and whatever came next, she knew Earth would face it with courage, ingenuity, and hope. The journey into the stars was just beginning.